Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Me Against the World by Simple Plan. And if you want to play along with the recording, what you want to do is kind of tune your guitar down a half step. So you'll have to actually kind of take your tuners and kind of tune them down. So you'd be E flat, B flat, G flat, D flat, A flat, and E flat instead of standard tuning. But we're just going to do this lesson in standard tuning, so you just go ahead and learn all the licks. So we're going to start with kind of this really cool intro lick actually that kind of implies some chords. And it starts with a low E string on the 12th fret, and you kind of play that note and keep enough pressure on it to have it slide down the E string. And then at the end of that, actually, you could play something called an E5 power chord. The way you play E5, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret, and then you kind of strum just the E string and the A string at the same time. And it's kind of this big down on those two strings. And then if you kind of kill it with the right hand, that can sound really good. So it's kind of doing 12 gliss, E5. And then there's a really cool slide lick that comes in right after that where you go 5th on the A string and kind of play with enough pressure to kind of get the string to kind of slide the sound over to 7th fret. So you got a 5-7 slide, and then you play 7-7-7. So we kind of have this 5 slide to 7-7-7-7. So all together you got kind of 12 slide, E5, 5-7-7-7-7, and then we just kind of do another hit on the E5. And then do that slide lick again, 5-7-7-7-7. But then we go to a C5 power chord, and the way you play C5, if you take the first finger and go to the A string on the 3rd fret, and take the 3rd finger and go to the D string on the 5th fret, and kind of strum just the A and the D strings at the same time, that sounds something called an A or a C5 power chord. And right after that hit, actually we do that same slide hit. So we do a C5, and then 5-7-7-7-7. And then we play a D5 power chord. When we play D5, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 5th fret, 3rd finger on the D string on the 7th fret, and if you strum just the A and the D strings, that sounds a D5 power chord. And then our slide lick kind of changes on the D5, so we do D5, and then go 7 slide to 10th fret, and then slide right back to 7 for a 7-7-7, 7-10, 7-7. So all together on that intro lick, you got 12 slide, E5. 5-7-7-7-7, open, or E5, 5-7-7-7-7, C5, 5-7-7-7-7, D5, 7-10, 7-7. So you may want to kind of use that as kind of your intro. And actually what that intro is doing is kind of implying some chords that we could actually play, like kind of bigger chords. And so the E5 is really implying an E minor chord. And when we play E minor, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord. It sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds very, very sad. And then the C5 actually is kind of implying a C major chord. And when we play C major, first finger is going to go to the B string on the 1st fret, 2nd finger is going to go to the D on the 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the A string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that makes a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the C major chord on our intro, we're going to be going to a D major chord. And when we play D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger is going to go to the high E on the 2nd fret, and 3rd finger is going to go to the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum just the D, G, D, and E, kind of the skinny 4 strings, that sounds a D major chord. And so our intro actually is kind of working around that chord progression kind of implied by the power chords in the lick. We got E minor, da 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 da, E minor, da 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 da, C, da 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 da, D, da 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 da. But a lot of times with a song like this, to make it more interesting, especially if I'm covering it by myself and don't have a band to back me up, is I'll use a strum pattern. And one of my favorite 4/4 strum patterns is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we tried that on the E minor. You'd have down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. So we tried that through our intro progression. We'd have E minor, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 C, down, down, big D. Now another way to kind of work that though is is to just do the power chords. If you're kind of backing it up as a rhythm guitar player, this could be really cool. And what you could do is kind of take the flat of your right hand, and if you lay it down on top of the saddle, you can do the E5 power chord we were talking about with just downs and kind of get a muting quality out of the string that way. So if you did that 8 times for each of those chords and then substituted in the C5 and the D5 we were talking about, then you'd have E5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, E5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, E, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, D. So that might be something else you want to kind of try. And then from there we go into our verse, and on our verse we start on the E minor, and then we go to a C major. But then, and this is hard to hear actually in the very, very first verse actually in that change, because it almost sounds like the bass player made a mistake. But later on it definitely turns into this. And we go to a G major chord, and the way you play G major, first finger goes to the A string on the 2nd fret, the second finger goes to the low E on the 3rd fret, and the third finger goes to the high E on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the G, we'll be going to the D major chord, and then kind of starting that over again. So if you wanted to, you could do that with the strum pattern. You'd have E minor, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, D, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, D, down, up. Or if you wanted to, you could kind of throw in a G5 power chord for that G chord. And the way you play G5, first finger goes to the low E on the 3rd fret, and third finger on the A string on the 5th fret. And you kind of notice it's the same shape for these 5 chords. Actually, we're playing the root of the chord and the 5th of the chord, so the shape actually kind of stays the same. So if you wanted to, you could substitute that in and try it with the muting idea we were talking about. So you have E5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the E minor and the G through that, there's actually this really cool guitar part that kind of comes in. And you could kind of play that lick by doing the 2nd fret on the A string and then 4th fret on the D string. And if you kind of just strum the E and the A and the D and the G, that's kind of what that, there's another guitar part that's kind of just going that O, B, F, sharp, G. Like when the E minor chord goes on. And then when the G chord comes in, that shape kind of changes to 3rd fret on the low E, 5th fret on the A, and then 4th fret on the D, and then you kind of do that same idea of E string, A string, D string, G string. So you got that part, you got E minor, C change, and then the G, D change, kind of in the background through that. And then from there we end up on our pre-chorus part. And our pre-chorus actually just mixes up a lot of things we were talking about. So we try it with the down, down, up, down, up. We'd have C, down, down, C, down, up, down, D, down, up, down, D, down, up. Or if you're trying with the power chord with the muting, you have C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we go into our chorus part, which is very much like our verse, with this really crazy cool tag at the very end, where if you're doing the strum pattern with it, you do down, down, up, down on a C, and then hit a D chord on a up. So that's a little weird. You got C, down, down, D on the up, kind of at the end of that phrase for our chorus. So try the whole chorus with the strum pattern. You have E minor, down, down, C, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, D, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, D, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, D on the up for your chorus. And then we go into a part that's just like our intro, kind of for our chorus tag, where we'd have the E minor, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, D, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, E minor, down, up, down, C, down, up, down, D, down, up. Now, just as an aside, something else else you may want to think about adding to the song though is bass notes. And a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, down, up, you could throw in a bass note for the chord to kind of simulate playing with a bass player. So if you wanted to try it that way, you'd have E minor with a low E bass for all your E minor chords. So anytime you got the E minor chord, the low E string is kind of your bass note for that chord. So you got low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down. And then on our C chord, your A string is your bass for your C. So C with an A bass, down, up, down, C with an A bass, down, up, down. And then on your D chord, you have the D string for your bass. So D bass, down, up, down, D with the D bass, down, up, down. And then on your G chord, you have the low E string for your bass. So G with low E bass, down, down, G with low E bass, down, down. So if you wanted to try that through the intro, you'd have E minor with low E bass, down, down, E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, down, E minor with low E bass, down, down, E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with a D bass, down, down. And then we'd be on our verse, and then we got our E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with low E bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with low E bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down. And then we'd be back on our pre-chorus, so we tried that way with the basses. We'd have C with an A bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down. And then we'd be back on our chorus, but on our second chorus, we actually kind of play through that C and D instead of doing that hit we were talking about in the first chorus. So we tried that with our basses. Then we have E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with low E bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, E minor with low E bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, G with low E bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, C with an A bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down. And then we go into our bridge part, and our bridge actually goes to an A minor chord. When we play A minor, first finger is going to go to the B string on the first fret, second finger is going to go to the D string on the second fret, and the third finger goes to the G string on the second fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A minor chord. And then from the A minor, we're going to be going to a D major chord, and then another D major chord. So if we tried that with just our down, down, up, down, up, we'd have A minor, down, up, down, A minor, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, and then we end up on an E minor, but it really sounds like you'd be doing the E5 kind of muting idea. So you'd have E minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we kind of pick it up back on our C and D and E minor progression. So at the very end of the bridge, you got C down, up, down, D down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, C down, 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 D down, 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 E minor, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 C down, 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 D down, 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 C down, 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 D down, 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 D down, down, down. So that might be one thing to get a way to kind of play through the bridge. And actually, there's this really cool lead guitar part that kind of comes in on that second part where we got the C, D, E minor. And it sounds like he's using a wah pedal, but you can almost kind of simulate it with some bends. So if you went 7th fret on the B string is kind of a bend, and then played 7th fret on the B string, and then we go to the G string on the 7th fret. So we got 8 bends, 7 on the B, 7 on the G, that kind of comes in through that part. But for myself, actually, I think what really kind of matches the feel on the bridge, especially from the drum part, is something called a 16th note strum pattern. So what a 16th note is if you're tapping your foot to the beat, right now we're kind of dividing that into 2 parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. What a 16th note is where you divide that into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one of my favorite 16th note strum patterns is long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And what I mean by that is like you take the A minor and do a down for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of what you're doing on the first beat. On the second beat, you're doing down on 1, down on 3, up on 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. third beat, you're doing up on 2, down on 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 up, down, 1 up, down, 1 up, down, 1 up, down, 1 up, down. And on the last beat, you're doing down, up, right along with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all together, you got long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. So it might be kind of cool just for that A minor and the D chord to use that strum pattern and then switch over to the muting and then go into your bass down, up, for the C and the D and the E minor, for instance. So we tried it that way. We have A minor down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, B down, 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 up, down, down, E minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, E minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, E minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, E minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when we get to the C, we can do the bass down, up, down, D bass down, up, down, E minor low bass down, up, down, E minor low bass down, up, down, C with the A bass down, up, down, D with the D bass down, up, down, E minor low bass down, up, down, E minor low bass down, up, down, C with the A bass down, up, down, D with the D bass down, up, down, C with the A bass down, up, down, D with the D bass down, up, down. You might want to throw those downs on that last E too. That build up to the last chorus, so that might be something else you want to kind of try. And then we'd be on our last chorus, so we try that with the down, down, up, down, up. We'd have E minor down, up, down, C down, down, up, down, G down, down, up, down, D down, down, up, down, E minor down, down, up, down, C down, 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 G down, 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 D down, 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 C down, 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 D down, down, down. Or if we tried that with our basses, we'd have E minor low bass down, down, C with an A bass down, down, G with low bass down, down, D with the D bass down, down, E minor low bass down, down, C with an A bass down, down, G with low bass down, down, D with the D bass down, down, C with an A bass down, down, D with the D bass down, down, Then right on our outro, we kind of go back and do the C and D again. Down, D with the bass down, down, and then we kind of have the E minor with 2 big downs, and I would kill it after with the right hand. So kind of down, down, kill it. It's kind of the idea on that last E minor. C, D, E minor. To kind of end the song. But that's the basics of how you could strum through Me Against the World by Simple Plan. So good luck!